Hello everyone, welcome back again. As you can see, there's been a little bit more action on FTR3, which is good to see. Had a little bit happening outside of race car world the last few weeks, so there hasn't been a lot of progress on the car, unfortunately. But as you can see on the weekend, managed to get a few hours in, got the roof removed and a few other bits and pieces. So we've learned quite a bit about the car and what's ahead this weekend, so I'll bring you all up to speed now. So we started the weekend removing the sheet metal that was covering the rear parcel shelf. So you can see there, it's still got the original mounting points for the speakers, and it's basically a bog stock Falcon parcel shelf under there. Now, there has been a bit of a mod done on either side. There's been holes cut in it. So we need to work out why they were there and whether that is original FTR or it's been modified at a later date. One point that's interesting, we originally thought that panel that covered this whole section was a modification that was done when the car was converted to a ride car. But if you study photos like this here, taken in 2002, the shape and pattern and those ridges that are in that cover look like they're there when the car was still racing in 2002. But if you go back to photos like this taken in 2000, 2001, it looks like a white standard Falcon rear parcel shelf. So we're going to need to do a little bit of research to understand what we put it back to. You know, if it was, we're going back to a 2000, 2001 specification, and that panel was fitted in 2002, we won't need it. We'll cover up the holes as they were in that era. If it was added, during its racing life throughout 2001 or earlier, we may look at reinstalling it. As you can see here, that's the panel that came out of the car. It was actually split down the middle to get it in, and it's been filled with a heap of filler. So not an easy thing to get in there. You can see there it's pretty flimsy, it all bends and twists, and it's going to be a bit of a major to get back in there and make it look neat. So we'll study that as we go, but certainly as of 24 hours ago, we hadn't factored in reusing that panel, but a little bit of research suggests that we might have to. So we started to remove the rear quarter panels, which we were hoping were going to be riveted on. Turns out they've been spot welded. You can kind of understand why, because being a ride car, they're not factoring in any damage, so there's no need to, I guess, have it geared up so you can change the panels quickly at a racetrack. One thing that is a little bit surprising, we started to drill out the markers where the spot welds would normally be, and as you can see there, once you go through the quarter panel material, there's nothing there. It just goes down to, I guess, the door jamb underneath. If you have a bit of a look, it probably won't show up on camera, but there's little TIG welds the whole way down, and then it's been filled up with sealer. So we're actually going to have to cut these welds and cut the quarter panel off. That's going to be quite difficult to not damage the door jamb at the same time, because that's all original, and the AU and BA is exactly the same door jamb. So we want to reuse that, but we're going to have to get this quarter panel off, obviously, to convert the car back to an AU and try and do it in a way that we're not creating extra work or damage for ourselves. So the big ticket item for this weekend was to get the roof off the car. Now we've got a couple of different people that are looking into helping us revert the cage back to, I guess, race spec or how it was raced in the early 2000s. And to do that, we need to really understand what's being changed. There's no drawings, there's no real map on what was changed. It's all going to have to be done by old photos and by eye. So by getting the roof off the car, we can look down directly on top of what was changed and get a bit clearer picture. Now the good news is, by getting the roof off the car, if I climb up here, you can see here the white tinge on the main roll hoop. So the original bar work is still in the car on the roll hoop in the center. If you go to the main crossbar that runs across the center above the driver's compartment, is all original. And if we go over the back there, you can see the white tinge all the way along the side. Now where that stops, if we come over this way, is that section that we know or we felt was not original, and that's that rear passenger compartment. So you can actually see the angle that bar works on. It comes up and then it's on an angle, welded into the center cross hoop, and then the original section moves forward. So you can see there by the rust, there's no white paint on that. That's definitely been added at a later date. And that's that section that rolls around, if we come in under here, it rolls around and goes into the rear shock tower. Now, I put a photo up last week of some of the bar work where it wasn't welded all the way around. It's a little bit hard to get on camera, but it's this back section here where it butts in, and it's where it's not welded is in under here. So to get that cut out's one thing, but to do the repair, there is a possibility that all this is going to have to go. It all depends how it was done at the time, and I'm sure, you know, if we get the right people on the job, there'll be a way around it, but it's not going to be an easy task, unfortunately. One other thing we've been going on around, there's been a lot of questions about the welds and how it's all done. If you have a look at a lot of the welds on this car being built in the early 2000s, a lot of it's TIG welded, which looks, you know, it's a really neat and tidy job. If you get up on the look down from the top, you can see a lot of the joins there are all TIG welded. It's a really neat and tidy job. As soon as you go to this back section here, it becomes more MIG, and yeah, it's a totally different approach. So good news is all this section here will be cut out of the car, and then we need to work on getting the original bar work reinstalled, which obviously doesn't accommodate for a passenger at the rear and doesn't give any crash structure above the where the back seat would normally be. So really, to get FTR3 stripped any further as far as the sheet metal work, we need to do a lot of cutting and grinding, and we don't want to risk that with the car being in a semi-assembled state. So from here on in, we're going to stop doing any of that work, and we're going to start stripping the whole car down. So the whole fuel system will come out, the interior will come out, everything's just going to basically be stripped back to bare bones. Engines out, driveline out, all that kind of stuff. So that'll be the next little bit to keep us going for a while. As far as the front of the car goes, there are modifications that have to be done to that as well. You'll see here the Larry bar. This car was actually built brand new with a Larry bar. It was the first car FTR built with the Larry bar standard. So it's a diagonal bar that ran through that patch in the dashboard and ran diagonal up to that corner. And as you can see there, now the screen's out of the car on the roof, you can see where it used to mount up in there. There's witness marks. So that'll all go back in. So there's a fair bit of fiddling around to do to work out where that all sat and how we can replicate it all back to how it was in the early 2000s. So we'll bring the content to you as we strip the car. That's the next mission from here on in. Obviously engine will come out, go on a stand. We'll have a look at that. Gearbox out, drive line, differential, you name it. So keep in mind, we're just a one-man band or a two-man band here really to doing this project. So we'll bring as much content to you as quickly as we can. If you do have any questions, let us know on here or via the Facebook page. And yeah, hopefully it's an exciting journey to witness, and it all comes together as it was remembered back in the early 2000s. As far as car 31, she's still here, sitting under the cover, just while we did some work yesterday. We've got some bits and pieces that have arrived for the super cheap Falcon, so that'll all start to happen again very quickly. We'll just get FTR stripped to a point that we can ship it off to get the bar work done if the opportunity arises, and then we'll be full steam ahead on the super cheap auto Falcon from there on. So thanks again for your support. We'll keep bringing you as much content as we can. If you've got any questions, let us know, and we'll speak with you soon.